What's up, everyone? Today's video is extremely important and full of information, and that is because New World Database just released every single artifact that's coming to New World. So there's a lot here. I'm going to go ahead and start scrolling through them because there's a lot. But again, feel free to go ahead and pause your screen if you want to take a closer look at any of these specific ones. I'm going to be going through them pretty quickly. Again, feel free to pause it or just visit New World Database yourself. I'll throw the link at the top of the comments. Be sure to check them out. They're awesome. They're always one step ahead of everyone and has all the information that's coming and brand new to New World. So be sure to check them out. Thanks again, New World Database. And let's go ahead and just dive right in. First up, Unyielding. It's the Heavy Helmet. We've got 32 attributes there. Hard Head, which is a PvP only perk, which allows you to receive 20% less damage from critical hits. This is basically Resilient on steroids, which is amazing. Refreshing, 9%. Shirking Fortification, amazing. And then a random perk. You're going to see random perks on all of these. It looks like you actually have a chance to kind of roll a perk that's unique to each specific artifact. So chances are you might have to grind these quite a bit in order to get the truly best in slot artifact for each of these different pieces. Void Dark Plate is a heavy chest. Dark Reinforced. Your armor is increased by 20%. That is disgusting. Really amazing. Same with the next perk, Enchanted Ward. Minus 4% damage from light and heavy attacks. That's like reverse enchanted, which is awesome. Physical Aversion, and then a random perk on top of that. The Heavy Gloves, you've got Magnetic, critical chance increased by 50%, but critical damage reduced by 50%. I don't know how I feel about that one. I feel like there's better things out there. I probably won't take a super close look at that one personally. Freedom is a heavy leg piece. Super, super cool, right? So Unending Freedom, it's basically freedom, but it's at 25%, which is crazy. And on top of that, there's an individual freedom attribute adding up to 37%, which is crazy. And this one also has that Enchanted Ward perk. Next up, medium pieces. Medium Helmet, Shrug Off. Non-crowd controlling debuffs expire 20% faster on you. Vigor, which is reducing the duration of burn, bleed, and poison by 35%. Sounds like it's pretty easy to hit that 100% threshold now, so it'll be cool to kind of test out how that looks on the PTR. Same with Invigorated, reduce the duration of weakened, disease, exhaust, and Ren by 35%. I mean, imagine you've got that at 100%. Does Ren just not affect you at all? Stay tuned, we'll figure it out together. Nimble Leather Coat, highly refreshing. This is, again, just a maxed up refreshing. It's at 10%, and then they also add on an individual refreshing perk. That's 19% reduced max cooldowns off of one single piece, which is insane. This also has the health perk that we heard about, which is coming to New World, which is awesome. It just adds a percentage to your overall health. And then also, of course, that random perk. Medium Gloves, Ghoul's Touch. When you hit a foe below half health, transfer 1 debuff. This is awesome. This sounds super cool. There's a 3-second cooldown, but just the fact that you can transfer debuffs now is amazing. I think it's super, super cool and really interesting, honestly. I'm glad this is coming to the game. Attuned Leather Pants. Well-rounded. Straight off the bat, plus 10 to all other attributes. You can create some nasty builds off of those 10 extra attributes if you kind of play around with your different attribute pools. Maybe hitting like 15 across the board, so you hit that 25 perk bonus across all attributes, and then kind of piling up on those individual ones. But yeah, overall, very interesting. There's so much great content here. It's going to be crazy, all the different builds we're going to be seeing. Shirking Blessing. Successfully dodging an attack gives you 15% in power and 25% fortify for 5 seconds. And you're also healed for 200 plus 2% of your max XP. What? I mean, like, this is crazy. These are light boots that kind of produce all of these perks. Super interesting. This is just going to be a hard decision to figure out which one I actually want to use. Now into some of the cool weapons. The sword. So extend bleeds, jagged whirls, empowering whirling blade. So it looks like you've got like 2 weapon perks on here. All about bleeds when it comes to the Butcher, the sword artifact. Next up, we have a hatchet. This one's all about throwing. So the thrown axe projectiles reduce all axe skill downs by 25%. That's a huge number. There's a 5-second cooldown, but still 25% off of just one projectile. That's definitely making the throwing hatchet tree, I feel like, a little bit more viable, especially if you pair it with like a bow or something along those lines. Okay, now we're on to the Warhammer artifact. It looks like this special perk is that 90% of hammer damage is converted to lightning, and you deal 20% more lightning damage with both weapons. That's very interesting. That's kind of cool. I mean, I'm glad that they're finally throwing lightning into the game more. Spark Mighty Gavel causes a lightning strike that inflicts a 50% weaken for 7 seconds. And then there's also Refreshing Mighty Gavel, which hits the, reduce the ability's cooldown by 20%, and Refreshing Move. So they're trying to make Mighty Gavel more relevant. I'm glad that they're doing this. We'll see if people really utilize this, though, because I feel like most people tend to use the hammer as the offhand weapon, but we'll see. The Abyss, this is personally one of my favorite ones. It's got Darkened Blade. 99% of the damage is now converted to Void, and it's also scaled from Intelligence. It's got Abyss, so it deals 20% more damage when your mana is below 100%. This tells me that they want you to pair this Great Axe with magical weapons, so you can actually use some mana and actually capitalize on that 20% damage boost, which honestly is a big boost. There's also Abyssal Attunement, which I believe that they slightly nerfed a little bit, but still an amazing perk, and Refreshing Move. I mean, if you pick up some sort of like Thwarting Strikes or Enchanted or something along those lines, this piece can honestly be very dangerous. Next up, the Mechanic. This is the Musket artifact, and it looks like they're really trying to push people to utilizing those different trap things. The trap perks when it comes to the Musket. And, it's all about cooldown reduction and movement speed and making the traps more viable in PvP and PvE. Next up, we actually have a few different shield artifacts, right? So this is the kite shield called Michael. Don't ask me who Michael is. But Refreshing Cleanse, cooldowns reduced by 5% on block. Cooldowns are reduced by 5%, and then I believe on a separate line it's got on block, lose 1 debuff. I mean, the fact that if you're just blocking and removing your debuffs is a huge game changer. I honestly might prefer this one over the other one just because of that one perk. Counterattack, on block, gain a 30% empowered for 4 seconds. Healing defense, on block, heal for 3% max health. And you've got lifesteal. It's going to be crazy. I'm curious on what the cap is going to be for that empower call out. Is there some sort of cooldown for counterattack? I'm not sure. I guess time will tell. Next up is the Wall. We've already heard about this one. You gain 5% damage reduction, and you cannot dodge, but you do have 33% more stamina, which is huge when it comes to blocking. Next up, Chromatic Ward. You take 25% less damage from all elemental sources, which is amazing. You've got Sturdy and Keenly Fortified, which is great for any tank. Inferno, which is the Fire Staff. In your power, if higher, this weapon scales with Strength. So this is a little bit of a reverse Uno card they just threw on us, right? Similar to kind of how the Great Axe can now scale off of Int, it looks like they're making this Fire Staff be able to scale off of Strength, which is a huge game changer. I don't think anyone really saw this one coming. It's got Hellfire's Fury, so plus 20% damage when you hit a target within 5 meters. So they want you to get, up close and personal to get that damage boost. It's also promoting Empowering Incinerate. It allows you to deal 40% more damage to targets with burn, and then it's also got Vicious, which had a slight debuff. Scorpion Sting, we also heard about this one. Javelin now deals 160% weapon damage and pulls your target towards you. It's also promoting Javelin itself by having the rend infliction and just reducing your target's armor too. This has also got Trenchant Strikes, which promotes the fact that they want you to do heavy melee attacks with this weapon. So, this might be mixing things up a little bit as well, because I feel like most of the time, spear users are all about those light attacks and just rolling all over the place. Okay, next up, The Rapier Finisher. Finisher Harmony attacks against bleeding targets now deal 15% more damage and reduces Flourish's cooldown by 5%, which is awesome. It's also got Deadly Flourish and Keen Tundo. So again, lots of weapon perks coming to some of these artifacts, more than one, which is different from what we've seen before. Life Taker, which is the Void Gauntlet. This was actually called out in my rumored video. Turns out the rumor is correct, which is awesome. I'm glad my sources are correct, right? The main perk for this is Negative Energy. So your ranged attacks inflict Disintegrate for 8 seconds on both weapons with a 1 second cooldown. And this can also scale directly off of Dexterity if it's higher, which is awesome. Next up is the Blunderbuss. Blighted Enchantment attacks against targets inflict a stack of poison and a decreased incoming and outgoing healing effectiveness by 7% per stack for 6 seconds. You can max stack this for 3 seconds. For 21%, which is a huge portion of just decreasing incoming healing, which is honestly a game changer, potentially huge for wars in the future as well. Also, one of the new perks here is Pest, 15% of damage against poisoned and diseased targets. Let's see, what does that exactly mean? I'm assuming that means 15% more damage against poison and disease targets. So you want to cause disease, you want to poison your targets, and you actually capitalize more by dealing more damage on those enemies. Next up, Great X is Serenity. Balanced Blade offense stance. 2% in power per attack for 5 seconds. This can stack 10 times up to a total of 20% in power. And then on the other side, defense stance, 2% fortify for every hit. That also stacks for 10 stacks, which can max out at 20% fortify through that perk. You also have Trenchant Strikes and Trenchant Crits, both amazing perks for great swords and refreshing move. Next up, Odu, right? This is the Flail. Odu's punishment. You deal 20% more damage to stunned foes. Odu's defense on block, you can deal for 5% health. It's got life stealing. It looks like this is definitely a tank's best friend. You can dish off some damage and also get some health back while doing so. Next up, Earring. We're on to the jewelry. So the Thirst. Heal potions are now 33% stronger, but the cooldown is 30% longer. I mean, the ones that have positive and negatives make me question the viability of it compared to the other artifacts, but 33% stronger health potions is a big deal. It's also got Empowering Toast, which allows you to gain Empower every time you drink a potion, which is huge, as well as Fortifying Toast. Same thing with Fortify. Okay, maybe I spoke too soon, right? Both of those perks are amazing. And the fact that you can now get Empower and Fortify from drinking a potion is huge. Next up, Blood Drinkers, the Ring. Ghoul's Harmony, minus 25% damage, but 25% lifesteal. Very interesting. It's also got Leeching and Hardy. Personally, I'm going to stay away from that, but hey, this might work, especially for some unique tank builds that are really just focused on surviving. Lost Stopwatch is the artifact for the amulet. Stunning Gaze activates taunt gems. Stuns last 100% longer, but base damage is decreased by 5%. Honestly, that 5% is not huge, and that increase of stun is ginormous. So if your enemy doesn't have a lot of freedom stacked up, this could be the death of them. It also has Leeching and Hardy, making it viable for both light and heavy builds alike. Also, there is another amulet here. It also has Stunning Gaze, but on top of that, it's got Health and Purify, both great perks. Overall, pretty good. Actually, I think I just went over that one twice, my bad. But the very last artifact we have now, looks like there's another amulet coming, but it's not determined yet. So keep that in mind. Out of all the pieces of jewelry, I think personally the earring is the most appealing to me, but you guys can be your own judge. Again, all this information is directly on New World Database. If you enjoy being, one of the first ones to get to this info, be sure to check out their website. And also be sure to like and subscribe because I have a lot more information coming soon. Thanks again, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.